Jiddu Krishnamurthy's choiceless awareness. So he popularized this term, or he came up with this term, choiceless awareness, and ever since then it's been widely circulating in the spiritual circles. People wondering what this choiceless awareness, how do we attain that, how do we actually get that, how do we tune into that, how do we practice that. You see, the awareness itself has no choice, because the nature of the self is itself is awareness, and this awareness is not a mental activity. It is not a conscious decision. You cannot decide to be aware, because even whatever the decision that you make is already being witnessed this by this awareness. Even a baby is also aware. That's why it's like when there is when you pinch it, it will cry because it's aware of the sensations. There is no choice there. Someone has to know that there is pain, right? The baby is aware of the hunger. That's why it cries. But someone has to be aware of this hunger, and that someone or something is awareness. So, how do you practice that awareness? The baby has discomfort, it cries, it recognizes that discomfort, it's aware of this discomfort, it knows that there is discomfort, and then it starts crying, which means it's fundamentally aware. When a cat and a dog, everyone is every living being is aware. There's no choice there. So the objects of the content or the objects of awareness doesn't really matter to the awareness, because its only fundamental job and its only job is to be aware. That's what the self is about. So then why he used this? I think he just means this, that to recognize within yourself, to understand by yourself that uh, that you're just the witness of the things, but you can't practice this witnessing. It's impossible. Most people try to do it, and then what they do is they reduce awareness to another thought. Okay, when I'm okay, they just close. This is what I have that has happened to me too. So that's why I'm kind of I'm definitely an expert on this, because I went through the same phase, and so I was like meditating, and then trying to be aware, and what I'm doing is essentially cultivating the thought I'm aware. But this I am aware thought is being watched by the awareness itself, because the I am awareness as a thought cannot know itself. Someone has to know it, something has to know it, and that is awareness. So I'm hungry, I'm wearing a black shirt, I'm inside a room, I'm talking, I'm walking even. How do you know that you're walking? Because you know that you're walking when you're walking, because you're naturally aware that you're walking. You're knowing that as a phenomenon, because walking, your legs cannot know, and your legs does not communicate, and your legs does not say that it is walking. So it's just, there is this knowledge, the knowledge is always there. So you can see life as, in that sense you can also see life as fundamentally knowledge. We're eating, just putting food in our mouth, but the idea of the knowledge of that we are eating is already there. So that's how we know that we're eating, because this hand will not tell again. This, and the mouth will not tell that it's eating, but the knowledge will is already there fundamentally. It's naturally there. So it's not something that we do. It's not something, knowledge is not something we practice. Awareness is something that we need not practice. It's who we are. There's no choice to that. But in a practical life, now forget about this awareness thing for a while, and then in the practical world, let's by which I mean the from the mind aspect, and uh, from the physical aspect, you're already making choices, and it's not a big deal, because you, as a human, you're supposed to make choices. That's how life flows for you. Life process, life as a process is a series of choices that we make on a consistent moment by moment fashion. If I'm talking, and then it's a choice. If I switch on the camera and then stop talking, it's also kind of choice. But so this has to be, this is also very natural for me. If you ask me, this is also a very natural thing. There's no you don't have to do anything about this or that. In terms of awareness, there's nothing to do, because what would you do? Whatever you do, you don't do, it's still, there's still this witness is witnessing. And in the practical life, will always, the biology of the self will force you to make some choices. If I sit in this position for a while and then I wanted to get up, and that's also a kind of choice, and it's a naturally occurring phenomenon. So in that sense, there is no choice to that also. You eat when you're hungry, and then, I mean, if you think about in terms of making choices and all, then life becomes too complicated. It's like this Osho story. I love this story. I mean, I heard this while ago. There's this millipede. It has, I think it's a centipede. It has like 100 legs, and it's just walking, and a philosopher frog encounters it, comes across its path and says, "Hey, you're doing a very great job of walking. You have like these 100 eggs, and how you're able to do this? I mean, which leg? How would you know that which leg to move which leg at what time? I mean, this is a very, this, for me, this looks like a very tremendously complicated and sophisticated process. How you're able to do that?" The philosopher frog asks. The sentiment says, I don't really know. I never thought about it like that. It's just walking. That comes natural to me. Now that you've asked me, maybe I should. Yeah, how do I do that? And then it stumbles and then falls, because it's just something that comes natural to you. To the centipede, this using its 100 legs for its own locomotion, for its own movement. That's something that is intimately itself. That is something that's inherent to it. That's something that's purely biological to it. That's genetic to it. There's no choice there too, because it's just walking. That's it. In that sense, there is no real choice. When you're flowing with the winds, everything, you will be forced to make choices, but in a way, that's not you making the choices. So to not identify too much with the conscious process of making these choices, it's just natural process. It's just something that we do. That's it. And in that sense, awareness is choicelessness, and the whole life itself is kind of choicelessness, because we're just flowing with this thing. And I would love to add something about this Arjuna thing. Yeah, the whole point of Gita is because Arjuna thought he had a choice. The war was, the war is in his front yard, knocking at his doors, inviting him to be part of it. But he still thinks he has a choice. Like, should I even do this war? Should I not do this war? What will happen? The blood flow, the bloodbath that follows this war. It's senseless violence. All these thoughts are there for him, but he's not seeing that there is no real choice. And so that's why the whole the Gita came into the thing, because he had a conflict, because he wasn't really in the kind of flow. It's like he's creating a false choice there, like the choice that doesn't really exist. So yeah, in that sense, if you really know what to do, there is no choice. You're hungry and you're eating, and it's not, you don't call it a choice. It's a natural process. If you're going to work and doing a job, it's not really a choice. It's a natural thing. If you're tired and you're sleeping, it's a natural thing. There's no real choice there. It's being in tune with the nature itself. That's how we can see it. So in that sense, we don't really need to think in terms of choices, consciousness, free will, conscious decisions, because choices are being made for us by the situations we are in, but the context makes the choice for us. So we don't really have to bother about anything in that sense. So that sense, everything is happening by itself, effortlessly, naturally, unconsciously, subconsciously, by itself. It has its own momentum. You're breathing because do you have a choice? Because you're born as a human being and not as a rock, you're breathing. Where is your choice in that? There's no choice. You're eating because you're born as a human, as a life form. You're walking because you have legs. You're watching because you have eyes. Where is the choice in that? You're able to listen because of ears. You're thinking because thoughts are natural to you. There's no choice. So to go beyond something or to try to be unnatural is the problem. To be something else. Like the way you're designed, you're following that design. That is choicelessness. In that sense, everything is like you don't really have to much do anything about this spirituality. So yeah, we're all in the choicelessness, but we don't recognize it. And then, like Arjuna, we think there is something else to do, and then we create this false choice of something in extreme situations, and that will create the stress or confusion. That's all there is to it. Other than that, but I don't agree. I don't think it's choiceless awareness is not a special thing. It's to recognize it's the nature itself is comes up with this choiceless awareness. Yeah.